Hello, my name is Allie Barnes. I'm a writer and librarian, and today I would like to share with you 3 books you may not have read, but I think are worth checking out.
One of the reasons
They
I
are
share this with you is because
Screenplay by McDonald
all 3 of
Harris,
these
which is the sole fiction book I'm going to present today.
I have read them all. And I
How to
enjoy
Create
them.
How to Create the Perfect Wife
They
by
haven't been
Wendy
checked
Moore.
out a ton in my library.
And It Was
they are
Me
being
All
discussed
Along
terribly
by Andy
heavily.
Mitchell.
I think they deserve to.
One of the reasons I want
They
to
were
share
all
this
very
with you
interesting.
is because
And while
all
reviews
3 of
won't
these
tell you
books
what you should
were
read,
very well reviewed. I
they
have
were
read them
well
all and I
reviewed
enjoyed
for
them all.
good reasons.
But
Also, because
they haven't
they
been
were
checked
so
out a ton in my
they're likely
library.
to have been bought by your
And
local library.
they aren't being
And
discussed terribly
that much
heavily.
more likely you'll be able
I
to
think
get
they
access
deserve to
them.
be. They were all
And
very
being
interesting.
Not as popular as
And
I think
while
they should
reviews
be,
won't tell
they're
you
also
what you
likely
should
to be
read,
sitting on the shelf, not checked
they
out.
were well reviewed for
When I
good
checked out
reasons.
Screenplay,
Also, because they were so
that
well
I could
reviewed,
show
they
it
are
to you
likely
as
to
I'm
have been
discussing
bought
it.
by your local
I found a
library.
note I had
And
written
it's that much more likely
6
you'll be able to
months
get
ago,
access
still
to
in
them.
the book,
And
because
being
no one's checked it
not
out.
as popular as I think they should be,
which is a
they're
shame.
also likely to be sitting on the shelf, not checked out.
Okay.
When I
Let's
checked
start
out
with Andy Mitchell's
Screenplay,
It Was Me All
so that I could show it
Andy
to you
Mitchell
as I'm
writes a
discussing
blog
it,
about
I found a
weight loss,
note I had written,
continuing of maintaining
I think 6
weight
months ago,
over
still
years.
in the book,
Her
because
memoir,
no one has
of
checked it out
course,
since I checked it out,
focuses
which is a shame. Let's start with It Was Me All Along by Andy Mitchell. She writes a weight loss blog. This is her memoir focusing on the same subject. I'm not going to go into what she discusses too much because the thing that was in the review that made me read the book doesn't occur until the end. And it's not that it's a huge surprise, but it's very well discussed. And I will describe it this way. Whereas most memoirs dealing with weight loss get the person to the point that they're healthy, and that makes a lovely finale, I feel she takes it beyond there and discusses the continuing struggle to maintain her weight years after she's achieved her goal. And by the way, she lost more than 100 pounds. She had been a large kid, and then it just kind of got worse and worse as she got into her 20s. It Was Me All Along is ultimately a very honest, emotional, well-told memoir, and I really think it's worth reading. How to Create the Perfect Wife by Wendy Moore. The subtitle is Britain's Most Ineligible Bachelor and His Enlightened Quest to Train the Ideal Mate. This is a bizarre true story. The subject of it is Thomas Day, who was an 18th century author in England. He was rejected by a woman he was pursuing in his late teens, early 20s, I want to say. And his response to this was not to decide he was incompatible with this person and go look for someone else, but he decided that all women were frivolous and ignorant, and there was no equal for him in the world. Therefore, he decided to adopt 2 orphans from a foundling hospital, because apparently that was legal at the time, and raise them, training them, and teaching them the way he feels people should be taught. He was a follower of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He is so strange that almost every section of this book is absolutely fascinating, because you don't understand what he is going to do next. It's just, I'd like to think of this as Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory if he were real, and if he were an 18th century writer. But there are laugh-out-loud moments in How to Create the Perfect Wife that I don't think could be replicated anywhere else. Screenplay by McDonald Davis is the only fiction book I'm going to discuss. It came out in, I want to say, the early 80s. The person who wrote the afterword picked it up in 1983 in England, but it was written by an American in America. It's set in Los Angeles in the 80s, and it discusses, oddly enough, the silent movie era in Hollywood. There's an element of glamour to it. It's beautifully written, and admittedly the second half of the book is a bit slow. But I really can't describe the plot on this one for you, because the review spoiled one of the biggest reveals. And I read it anyway, and I enjoyed it anyway. But I'd like you to experience it without knowing what that is. So once again, I'm Ellie Barnes. And if you have a chance to check out Screenplay by McDonald Davis, How to Create the Perfect Wife by Wendy Moore, and It Was Me All Along by Andy Mitchell, I think you should take it.